So we're looking here at the profit maximization for a perfect competitor. This line in this area rather, in the shaded area is our profit, our $280, and that's the maximum profit that $260, sorry, the maximum profit that we're going to produce. The way we get total profit, or TR, right? Total profit, TP, sorry. Total profit is just total revenue take away total cost. We get our total revenue by multiplying the price, so 6 times the quantity, 270. So you need to jot down that formula, and it's also in the handout of the text that I gave you. Now your total cost equals average cost times quantity. So once you get your total cost, which is your average cost times quantity. So here it's 5.04 times 270. So again, producing at 270 units, you see we have a price of 6, marginal revenue of 6, and our total revenue is 1,620, and our total cost 1,360 for a total revenue of 260. Total profit, sorry, of 260. The breakdown and shutdown, break even rather, and shutdown points of a business. The breakdown point is where a business breaks even while maximizing profit. For a perfect competitor, this occurs where price equals minimum average cost. The shutdown point is the lowest price at which a business will choose to operate in the short run. So if you flip over to your example in your textbook on page 125 and also page 126, you see the shutdown point. It's the level of output where price equals minimum average cost. Minimum average cost. Remember, average cost, and we're talking average variable cost here, is obtained by taking variable cost and dividing it by quantity. So it's just the average variable cost. So would a t-shirt company like Simple T-shirts, as an example on page 125, stay in business if it were making a loss? In the short run, the business would likely continue to operate as long as it earns sufficient revenue to pay its variable cost. So even this is an interesting concept. The break-even point being where a business breaks even while maximizing profit. But here we have a business that would stay in business even if it's making a loss, as long as it's earned sufficient revenue to pay its variable costs. The remaining fixed costs, of course, would have to be paid in the short run, whether or not the company stayed in business. As long as the business's total revenue more than covers its variable costs, it is better off remaining in business than shutting down and still having to pay its fixed costs. If total revenue were to fall below variable costs, however, the business would not be able to fund even its day-to-day operations and would have no choice but to close down. So recall that the total revenue for a business is found by multiplying price times quantity of output. So TR equals price times quantity. Maybe we'll just put that up here for you. So total revenue, TR, equals to price times quantity. Recall that the sum of variable costs and fixed costs equals total costs. So total costs, or create a new line here, total cost equals total cost equals variable costs plus fixed costs. So variable costs can be found. How do you get variable costs? Well, you just move total costs over to the other side. Variable costs um, equal to the difference between total costs and fixed costs. And the average variable cost. So average variable cost, this is an important one. Average variable cost is equal to variable cost divided by, oops, where's my divided by symbol? We'll go like this, divided by quantity. So whether or not, when considering whether or not a business should continue to operate, take a look at the average variable cost. If the variable costs equal average variable costs multiplied by quantity, so variable cost equals average variable costs multiplied by quantity, then it's possible to establish a relationship between price and average variable cost by looking at the formula for total revenue. So this is our formula for total revenue up here. And the formula for variable costs, well, exactly as such. Variable costs equals average variable costs times quantity. So as long as variable costs do not exceed revenue, total revenue rather, the company should stay in business. If the variable costs exceed total revenue, the company should shut down. Canceling the quantity of output because it is a common element in both these expressions means that the total revenue exceeds variable costs as long as price is greater than average variable costs. At the profit maximizing output where total revenue and variable costs are equal, the business reaches its shutdown point, which occurs at the point of minimum average variable costs. So now we get to our point for a business's shutdown point. We're just going to wrap this up here, this formula part. Business shutdown point. Shutdown point equals total revenue. Oh, yeah, business shutdown point is when total revenue equals variable cost. Variable cost. So the total revenue being the price times the quantity, and the variable cost being this part here, average variable cost times quantity. So you get price equals minimum average variable cost. So why does the shutdown point occur where price equals the minimum point on the average variable cost curve? If you refer back to your graph on page 124, 5.4, you'll see how that is the case. Because at this point the profit maximizing output rule, or marginal revenue equals marginal cost, is met at the same time as total revenue equals variable costs. So then I invite you to look at the figure on page 126 at 5.5, figure just below what all this is talking about here. When receiving a price of $6 per t-shirt at point A, the company is maintaining a positive economic profit. If for some reason the price drops to $5, the business reaches its break-even point, which is point B. At the lowest point on the average variable cost curve, at 150, point C, average variable cost price. Variable costs equal total revenue. So you can figure out the shutdown point there, rather by doing total revenue equal to variable costs and filling in some of the information as it does on page 126 in blue, just above figure 5.5. So that's a little explanation of how to figure out a business's shutdown costs. or sorry, shutdown point. I want to stop there for today and just really get us to uh, understand this point. Um, some of the problems that we're going to work on now in class revolve around figuring out some of the different variables. So working with these different variables and how to figure them out um, using some simple mathematical operations. But you should have these formulas down in the meantime, and I hope that was a helpful little video on a business's shutdown point.